So today we are joined by Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey. Senator, thanks for taking the time today.
No, great to be with you.
We wanted to have you on because, of course, you're a Massachusetts Senator. You're also on the Senate Commerce Committee, which our Rhode Island Governor, Gina Raimondo, is appearing before today for her confirmation hearing. Can you give us some insight into some of the questions? We're speaking with you before you've questioned her. Can you give us some insight into some of the topics that you'll be questioning her about today?
First, I think she is going to be a great Secretary of Commerce. My concerns will go to ensuring that we build more resiliency into our telecommunications networks so that climate change doesn't just inundate them and undermine the communications networks of our country. I'm going to be asking her about aid for fishermen, the fishing industry. We were able to put $300 million into this most recent recovery bill, and we just have to ensure that it gets out quickly to fishing industry leaders so that they can survive through this pandemic. And I will also be talking to her about issues that go to workers, families, go to fishermen, go to the entire South Coast agenda, which is so critical for the families who live there.
With her being the governor of Rhode Island and you just across the border in Massachusetts, have you ever met before this, or will this be your first interaction with her?
No, I have met the governor before. I remember meeting her at a fundraiser that Sheldon Whitehouse was having, like a fish fry that I was at for Sheldon. So no, I've been a long time admirer of the governor, and I think that Joe Biden made a great decision in naming her to this post.
Can you give me a sense of timing here? How soon after today's confirmation hearing do you think that this will be referred to the full Senate for a floor vote?
Well, my hope is that we can move this very quickly. I don't expect there to be a lot of controversy around the governor's nomination. And so my hope is that we could get it done. And I'm going to be trying to expedite the process so that we can complete it before we begin the impeachment trial of Donald Trump.
So that would be before February 8th?
That's correct. I think that we have time to have this hearing, to process Governor Raimondo's confirmation, and then to make sure that it is voted on before the Senate begins that impeachment trial, which would otherwise slow down other legislative activity.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question for you. Do you think that there would be any overlap on or any impact from the impeachment trial on the governor's confirmation hearing? It sounds like no.
Well, my hope is that we can do both. I don't know why we couldn't do both. I don't think that there's a lot of controversy. I think that she is going to be a consensus pick to do a very good job at the Department of Commerce. And so from my perspective, I think that we should be able to process her through very quickly so that she can get on the job and get to the business of serving the people of the United States.
I know you mentioned some of the questions that you had for her, Massachusetts centric about the fisheries and local industry. What do you think it will mean to have a New Englander in the White House cabinet?
Well, I think it's going to be great for us. We have a great leader as governor of Rhode Island who understands our economy, understands what we're all about, understands the fishing industry, the offshore wind industry, understands the need to have a kind of a forward-looking economic agenda for our country. That's what she's always been providing for Rhode Island. So I'm very, very enthusiastic about her taking this job.
I wanted to pivot just for a second and ask you a couple of questions outside of the topic of Governor Raimondo. You are calling for $2,000 checks for every American every month of the pandemic and for 3 months after it's over. How much would that cost, Senator?
Well, it would cost more not to provide that kind of help. We are in dire economic circumstances right now. Families are in dire economic circumstances. Republicans are raising objections to providing these checks, but They didn't raise any objections to a couple of $1 trillion tax break for the wealthiest Americans. They don't raise objections to a bloated defense budget. But when it comes to ordinary families having money in their pockets so that they can take care of their families, all of a sudden they become born again, deficit hawks. But from my perspective, we have to do everything we can to ensure that families get the help they need until this pandemic is in our rearview mirror. And it looks like it's going to take a while before we get everyone vaccinated. This is going at a much slower pace than we thought it was going to go. Trump did not leave us with a plan. And so as a result, we need a plan to take care of American families with their financial needs.
You mentioned vaccinations. Are you satisfied? I know Governor Baker has faced some criticism for the rollout of vaccines in Massachusetts. Are you satisfied with how that's going in the Bay State?
Well, obviously, President Trump did not have a plan. We don't have adequate supplies of vaccines. The messaging has been something that it turns out, erroneous in terms of the supplies that would be provided to Massachusetts and to other states. So my hope is that Joe Biden's plan, which is now to have 1.5 million people vaccinated every day for 100 days, is something that will be accompanied by the supply of the vaccine, so that Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and every state can get this job done for the families of our states.
And Senator, just quickly before I let you go, we saw some headlines recently that your close colleague in the Senate, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, faced some death threats, some threats of assassination. Have you talked to her about that? What was your reaction when you saw that news?
I have not talked to her about it, but I'm also not surprised. The white nationalists who attacked the Capitol obviously had hate in their hearts. They were evil personified. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez represents the kind of fundamental change that our country needs, that they find very threatening. So I'm glad that she is secure, but I think it's also very important for us to understand that this is a huge problem in our country, and we have to begin to address it right now in the United States of America. White nationalism is on the rise, and a threat to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, on Nancy Pelosi, or even to Vice President Pence on January 6th is one of the symptoms of that disease of white nationalism that we're seeing in our country.
Senator, anything else you'd like to add or let folks know about today?
No, I think I'm good.
Senator Ed Markey, thank you so much for taking the time.
No, glad to be with you. Thank you.